Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to a Man, This Music is Loud edition of the Missing Wolves postgame live stream podcast thing. I'm your host, Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage, and Twitter is not allowing people to see the podcast. So I appreciate all the people that are already hopping in over on YouTube. Where was I going with that? That's all I was going with that. Anyways, my guest today, Gabe Anderson from Running with the TimberWolves. We've been seeing each other a lot lately. How's it going, man?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Yeah, I've loved talking with you on my show and yours as well. We've talked a lot of trades. Hopefully, or thankfully, we're past that now, and we can go into the second half. And I would say a decent start to the post All-Star game season, but a lot to talk about though.
Yeah, certainly a lot to talk about. It did kind of seem like this was the most Timberwolves-esque Timberwolves performance that you could hope for. I mean, let's just kind of start with that. They come out of in the first quarter looking fantastic. I mean, defensive rating was on point, looked like they were going to kind of run away with this game. Second quarter, the defense kind of falls off a cliff, but they're still making enough shots where it's like, okay, this is still looks like they should run away with it. And then the third and fourth quarter happen where the Mavericks eventually tie the game up, and it kind of comes down to some Anthony Edwards heroics before they actually are able to put this game away. I mean, I guess I'll just ask your take, like, how encouraged or discouraged are you from their kind of first game back performance?
It's kind of the same. I'm kind of at the same place that I was just basically all season. I mean, we've seen the Wolves get up for big games when they're playing OKC, when they're playing Denver. They give 110%, and it's easy to see. Thankfully, they didn't let this one slip. But yeah, Anthony Edwards was just masterful. And he said after the game in the post game that actually Finch was one of the guys that encouraged him to go and get a go-to move in the clutch. And he talked about that all offseason. And he just got to his spots tonight, was super efficient, got every bucket that we needed him to, and just masterful. I mean, really, you could talk about Rudy too and Nas, but the real reason that the Wolves were able to come out with the win, as opposed to other Wolves teams in that kind of spot where the maybe rookie of the year isn't playing, is because Anthony Edwards. He was 100% the difference in that game. And there's just some games, like I go back to opening night against Portland, there's some games where Ant just bails us out. And that was another one of those games tonight, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, Ant 14 points in the fourth quarter, plus 11 in the clutch. He goes 2 for 3 for 4 points and a rebound, plus 4. Like it was kind of Ant, bailing him out. I do think, we asked Finch after the game of just like the ball movement really seemed to dry up in the third quarter. I do think, Ant getting 30 shots, we can pick nits with his game, but at the end of the day, like, this is the guy, this is the closer, this is the person that's going to carry them over the finish line. And like, as long as they can keep it close, it seems like Ant is able to do this almost every game. I mean, it's a 40-point performance on his first night back. You really can't ask for more than that, can you?
No, I mean, you can't. And it was efficient. Like the second half, he was in every shot that he took. I mean, what was really encouraging to me at the beginning of the game was, it took Ant probably about 7 minutes to get his first bucket anyway. And the Wolves were playing so well without him. That's honestly how I gauge it. If the Wolves are playing well in the first quarter and Ant isn't getting his, I'm like, okay, Ant's going to get his eventually, so we're in good shape. If it's only Ant in the first quarter and we're only up like 5 or down or something like that, then I get a little worried. So, but yeah, I mean, just masterful, getting every shot that he wanted, getting to the rim. I mean, that left-handed layup where I think Gafford was coming at him and he just threw.
Yeah.
That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Now, I am not the biggest fan of Ant doing the finger pointing, particularly when there's 3 minutes left in the game. But I think that's like you talk to Anna. I think that's just who Ant is. Yeah. And I think that's me, just like you're saying, being nitpicky on that. But yeah, I mean, he's the best Timberwolf of all time. Like in my mind, I really
Mhm.
think he's taken that mantle, and it's just unreal. And he's just entering into his prime, which is the crazy thing.
Yeah, I think it's certainly like from a team success standpoint, like Ant's
Yeah.
teams are significantly better than Garnett's teams. I mean, even like on a pure talent, like I know Garnett won the Defensive Player of the Year, won the MVP. Like he definitely has like the track record to stand on and be like, I've done these things here. But like just as a pure basketball player, like Ant is. I and what he's been able to do. I mean, going from a 19-year-old that people didn't know if he actually liked basketball to now
Yeah.
he has a handle, he has a post game. He's one of the best 3-point volume shooters in the league. He plays really good elite defense when he's locked into it. I mean, Ren kind of says it here, goat and man, like that at this point, like it is kind of getting harder and harder to deny that this guy 6 years into his career might be the best player to ever play for the franchise. I did look it up, by the way. You're spot on. Like Ant took him about 7 minutes before he hit that first three. He finished 1 of 4 with 3 points in the first quarter.
Mhm.
Still finishes with 40. I mean, I'm kind of with you. When the ball's moving in the first quarter, it usually gives me a pretty good sense of like, oh, this team's locked in. They're going to be able to win it. Just kind of weird that third quarter. It kind of
Yeah.
seemed like the Wolves are almost surprised that Dallas didn't just give up, which
Mhm.
I mean, Dallas has a lot of NBA players on their team. Let's stay on the Ant topic a little bit, though, because we did ask him about the Jalen Johnson kind of hot mic conversation at the All-Star break. For people who don't know, um, Ants, gets caught on a hot mic saying, can't wait to come home. Him and Jalen Johnson then start talking about how many wings they have. I think it's fair to assume it wasn't like a Lou Williams lemon pepper wings, like that type of situation. It was probably talking about that actual roster. But, you know, tonight, John Krasinski asks him about it first. Ant says, me and Jalen go way back. There's nothing to talk about. I'm happy here. I asked at the end of the press conference, just like, why are you happy here? Like, to genuinely, not to like trap him, but like genuinely, like you say you're happy, like why? And he just says, like, they picked me, which I mean, Ant is an incredibly loyal guy. He has his circle as the same people that were with him before he became the best player in the NBA. I do think hearing the like Steve Kerr, we wouldn't pick you if we had the first. Charlotte, I don't think ever has said anything that they weren't going to go with LaMelo. Like, I do think that matters a ton to him, which unfortunately in the NBA, all we can do is take guys at their words. If he says it's nothing, if he says he's happy here, if he says, he's loyal to this team, that's kind of the end of the conversation to me. But Gabe, what are your kind of thoughts on how he answered that question and where Ants might be?
Yeah, I do think Ant is a very straight shooter, to be honest with you. So I think he did mean what he said. Also, the other thing is, after a win, after your first game, after the All-Star break, when you're trying to make the playoffs and trying to make a run, it would be very strange for Ant to come out and say, oh yeah, I want to be traded to Atlanta, like particularly after he just went for 40 and you had a clutch game where you won. So there's an aspect to that as well, where you don't want to rock the boat too much. But yeah, like you're mentioning, and you broke it actually down on over on my podcast. I mean, if Ants doesn't re-sign with the Wolves, and by the way, we're talking 2 or 3 years here. So
Mm-hmm.
like the whole league could be completely different. We could have 2 different teams. Like we could have completely different players on this team. Randall could be gone. Rudy could be gone. It could be completely different team. If he turns down the max contract that you were talking about, he loses out on millions of dollars here. And you were talking about how he said that the Wolves took a chance on him, and yet like you were mentioning, Ant was not a sure thing coming out of
Yeah.
college. Like it was not it wasn't like Cooper Flag where when Dallas won the lottery, Cooper Flag like start printing jerseys right now. Like you're mentioning, we thought he wanted to play football. Like we thought
Yeah.
he thought he wanted to go play football. It was weird that he would have like Chick-fil-A or fast food at the press conferences after the game. It's like, is this kid totally locked in? And all he's shown since then is that he is learning and that he's absolutely locked in. I mean, I go back just to his rookie season. Remember that game? I think it was against San Antonio where he takes the 2 when he needed the 3. Do you remember that game?
Yep.
Way back.
Yep.
Like I was
and
thinking,
then the next time that happened, he passed it to Rubio and no one scored.
Yeah, exactly. Man, that doesn't that seem like 20 years ago?
It really does, to be honest.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, just I do think, like you said, I think Ant is loyal. I think that Ant really does like Finch, to be honest. Like he said after the game on the National, he said that Finch pushes him. Finch is the guy that told him to go get a shot. He said Finch is the hardest coach I've ever had, which actually I do like hearing that. That
I mean,
you know,
when
sometimes
you're coming from
Yeah,
coming from Tom Crean and you're saying Finch is the hardest coach, like that's something. But continue, Gabe.
Yeah, no, but like from reading Chris Hines' book and from learning everything I have about Ant, I'm sure you know more about this, but I do think that Ant responds to people who care about him and people who demand discipline from him. And I think he does respond to that. And I think that's what the Wolves have shown him. They've shown him a ton of love. They built the franchise around him. They've paid him, but at the same time, they expect the world out of him, and he's been delivering the world. So, yeah, I do think there is loyalty to Minnesota. I don't think we need to worry about Atlanta, at least for 2 or 3 years at the very most. Like, I don't think he's going to demand a trade. I think he's happy here. I think they build a decent team around him. So, like I said, I would be shocked if we hear in the next year that Ant wants out. Like I would, unless it goes terribly wrong, I would be shocked.
I agree. Like even if the Wolves go into the first round and get bounced, like I would be stunned. Like every time I've ever talked to the guy, like every time I've interacted with him, like you say, he's kind of a straight shooter. He tells you whatever's on his mind, for good, for bad, for fines, for not fines. Like he's seems like a pretty genuine person. And like the other thing is like the dude, I know that he was getting kind of like clowned on it over the All-Star break, but like the dude literally isn't on social media. Like the first thing I kind of saw on Twitter after he made his like Finch remarks was people saying like, oh, there's Ant trying to save Finch's job. And it's like, Ant doesn't even know Finch's job is in jeopardy. Like Finch's job probably isn't in jeopardy. Like the dude doesn't live on Twitter like we do. So it's just, like, I think there is like this legitimate bond between those two guys. And I think Ant appreciates it a ton, which, you know, that's good for Wolves fans. That's great for this organization that he feels that loyalty and that bond. But I do want to catch up on chat here a little bit. Cole was asking, why were they missing so many offensive possessions? I'm assuming you meant in the third quarter. I'm just going to give you a shrug emoji. Like this team just kind of does this at some point. Steve, I think Wolves got a little passive because the Mavs were fouling harder under the basket. I feel like Rudy was taking a shot to the head on every rebound. It's crazy how much he has to put up with. We talked to Rudy about it after the game, and I'll turn this into a question, I promise, Gabe. But like,
no, you're good.
You know, he gets the flagrant tonight, unless that's reversed or downgraded. Like he will get suspended against Philadelphia. And like the dude legitimately gets hit in the head like 35 times a game. And then it does seem like the one time he gets someone in the neck or the chin, or he has a reckless closeout, they just hit him with a flagrant immediately. And I don't know if I'm biased because like I genuinely like talking to Rudy and he's always been like nice to me, or if I'm biased because, you know, I've lived in Minnesota my whole life and the refs are always out to get Minnesota teams when you live in Minnesota, or if it's just that's the reality that Rudy just kind of gets the short end of the stick on this stuff. I mean, where do you sit on it? Because I feel pretty firm that like Rudy gets the short end of it, but I need a reality check.
Oh, no, he absolutely does get the short end of it. And honestly, I was looking at the NBA rules, but 3 flagrants over an 82 game season, and you get or 4 flagrants and you get suspended. That seems like too short a rope. Like let's be completely honest here for anybody, not even Rudy. But yeah, the thing Rudy gets hit all the time. He's getting hit in the head every single time. And the other part about it is he's an awkward, on the court at least, can be a
Yeah.
very awkward moving guy. Like
A lot of limbs.
lot of limbs, very lanky, doesn't have control of like his arms all the time. And sometimes they go to weird places and sometimes they hit a guy. But I don't know. I didn't think that was a flagrant. And the other thing about it is it's almost like the ref has to know, like, hey, Rudy has so many flagrant fouls. Like, it's got to be pretty blatant to call it, particularly when like that could jeopardize the next game. I don't know. If it's Jon Berenjay who played decent in his minutes, but if it's Jon Berenjay and you're calling a flagrant on him, fine. Like, he's a rookie, he hasn't earned his stripes, but like, it's Rudy Gobert. This is a Hall of Famer. This is a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. You got to give him a little more respect than that. And it's almost like penalizing him for playing so many games this year. Like, if he only played like half the games, there's a good chance he doesn't have that many flagrant fouls. But because he tries hard and plays so many games, there's more chances for him to get flagrant fouls. I think he gets a bad whistle all the time.
It is just then, Steven mentions the stuff Gafford was getting away with was disrespectful. Yeah. I mean, it is just kind of every game that Rudy, if you're just kind of focused in and watching him, you can kind of see why he's a little surly after games sometimes, because like the dude gets hit so many times. And then it's like any little ticky-tack thing, like the push-offs when he's trying to like get a rebound or something, he gets whistled like immediately. And it's kind of been that way his entire Timberwolves tenure. Like, I'll be honest, I wasn't a huge Jazz consumer when he was with the Jazz, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know if it's been his entire career, but like at least with the Wolves, it's just like I'm surprised the guy doesn't get more technicals just from like complaining, but he doesn't really complain either, which maybe that's part of it, is he needs to start being more vocal.
Wait, sorry, quick question for you. Do you think, is there any chance, or because I mean this was 2 years ago, do you think the league is still mad about this or no? Or do you think they're past? I'm just curious because like maybe they're holding a grudge on that. I don't know.
I don't think they're holding a grudge on it. I do think Rudy, like, he genuinely tries a lot. And this is like kind of your point of like, he's playing a lot of games. Like, I think the guy genuinely tries and cares and puts himself in position to get off like rebounds. And because he's trying and caring and not like getting out of the way or olaying people, he just gets hit more, which is like, you gotta call it when someone's getting hit in the face. Like, it just can't happen, which is just interesting. Pack Mentality says they are getting paid. I'm not going to comment on that Pack Mentality, but if you want to listen to some of my WNBA podcasts, we can get into that more. Ren brings up if Rocco Zakarski will get some run. I don't know. He hasn't made an official appearance yet this year, has he?
No, I don't remember him playing.
So, I mean, on his two-way contract, like, he should have plenty of games still. I'm sure they are kind of saving his games just in case something happens and he has to play a bunch of minutes. But like, it'd be fun to see him at least get some burn. I'm going to throw us over to an ad read here quick, Gabe. But when we come back, Nincy asked us to kind of weigh in on the whole Cade versus Ant talks, because I do think, Cade leapfrogged him in MVP odds and other things. Might as well talk about it, right? That sure. Seems like a good podcast thing. But first, we got to do some ad reads. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read, this time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. So I have some of the stats up here between, Cade and Ants, and just like, no, well, that's career stats. We don't want that. That seems obnoxious. But just like Ants scoring a little bit more than Cade this season, Cade obviously getting significantly more assists than Ant. Rebounds are about the same. Cade, I think his defensive rating last time I checked, which was before the All-Star break, but was a little better than Ant on the defensive rating. Ant's a little better than Cade on the offensive rating. Cade's on the best team in the East. Ant's kind of in the middle of the pack team in the West that's trying to figure it out still. I think there's an argument for both ways, but I want to kind of get your opinion first. Like, where do you sit on the whole Cade versus Ant thing right now, especially with Cade saying he's the best American player in the league?
Yeah, well, the thing about Cade is you got to remember that the first game back from on national TV, he went into Madison Square Garden and put up 40 and beat the Knicks again, which they beat them 3 times already. And like you said, the best team in the league. When you go on and perform on national TV in Madison Square Garden, people notice and people really start to see how good you are. I'm not taking away anything from Ant's performance tonight, but if you just want to talk about recency bias, I mean, Ant did it against a depleted Dallas team on, yes, national TV, but I would guess less people are watching that Mavericks versus Wolves game than the Madison Square Garden game. I just a guess there. But yeah, I mean, Cade's having an amazing season. This is the best that the Pistons have been since, Ben Wallace and Chauncey Billups and that whole team. And honestly, that team didn't have a huge scorer or anything, but this team does, and Cade Cunningham. The other thing that I will give Cade, now I'm not saying that Cade's better, I'm not saying anything like that, but Cade really doesn't have a real number 2 on the team. Like, he's got Tobias Harris, which you can a little back down turnaround jumper here and there, but if you're getting 14 points out of Tobias Harris, you're pretty happy. I mean, he's got Jalen Duren too, but you're not necessarily going to give Jalen Duren the ball in crunch time necessarily. He's not like a go-to bucket getter. So I think the national media is seeing Cade Cunningham kind of as doing it by himself. And obviously, the East is not as strong as the Western Conference, but I think Cade's been doing it, like you said, on a national stage against the Knicks. He's been dominating, and I just think they're giving him a lot of credit for probably all in all not having as big a names on his team. Nas has been the 6th man of the year. Julius Randle's been around. People know who Rudy Gobert is. So the Wolves are kind of more established. So I think Cade just kind of coming out of nowhere, or not out of nowhere, but really having an amazing season. Like, hey, look at this guy. Look at this number 1 pick when 2 or 3 seasons ago they were historically bad, and look at where he's come from there. So I think Ant probably is having a better season, but like I said, the record is probably a big factor. The fact that Ant probably has a better team around him. I think those are the 2 factors, but for me, it's close. I'd take either of them. They're both amazing and doing amazing things. And if the Wolves don't win the championship, I want it to be Detroit, to be honest with you. I'm rooting for Detroit.
I mean, I just pulled up their stats for this season, and it's like Ant's outdoing Cade by 4 points per game. Rebounds are pretty negligible. Assists, Cade has 6 more than Ant. Steals are pretty negligible. Blocks are pretty negligible. Field goal percentage, Ant's 30% over Cade, or 3% or so over Cade. 3-point percentage, 7% or so over Cade. I mean, you go down to the advanced stats even, and this is where it's kind of like spooky. Their usage percentages are the exact same. Their turnover percentage is about the same. Assist percentage, obviously, Cade's way better, but like true shooting, effective field goal, Ant's way better. Like I think at the end of the day, Ren kind of says like MVP isn't just numbers; it's winning at a high level, and is doing this while the Wolves are, actually contending in the West versus the East. And I think that might be what, like at the end of the year when it comes down to like all NBA teams, right? Like Luka probably makes it. Obviously, like Jokic, Shea makes it. I don't think Ant and Cade both make all NBA first team. And I think that's what the voters are going to have to look at is like, do you like Ant doing pretty similar stuff on the best team in the West, or do you like, or on a middle team in the West, way more competitive, or do you like Cade doing that type of stuff on the East on the best team against lesser competition? And to your point, like Cade really doesn't have the same like supporting cast. Like Thompson's fine, Duran's fine, Tobias Harris is fine. Like everybody on their team's kind of fine, and then Cade is like the mega star. On the Wolves, like they honestly like Ant, Jaden, Julius, Rudy, like those are all guys that are kind of established. And then you mentioned Naz Reid, sixth man. He's currently the Vegas favorite to win it again this year. Io's an actual guy. Like 9C adds Duran was an all-star. Duran was an all-star. That is correct. And he actually like brought a lot of juice to the all-star game. But like, and I'll be honest, like Duran might be a better player at this point or have a better career than like a Julius, but like Julius is just such an enigma on this team. Like I think it's going to be tough. Like, I'll be honest, I'm glad I don't have a vote. Like, I don't want that power with people's like supermax contracts and stuff like that. Like, it's going to be a crappy vote this year, especially if it is just one of them on the all NBA team. Talked a little bit about Rudy and him getting hit in the face a bunch. I do want to kind of go back to Rudy a little bit of just like, tonight was kind of like the epitome of like why Rudy matters to this team. 10 offensive rebounds, finishes with 17 overall, 20 plus points. Like in the building, it kind of seemed like Rudy was having like a pretty loud game just everywhere. But like, what was it kind of like watching it on the telecast? Were they kind of highlighting Rudy a little bit, or was it more of just overlooking poor Rudy?
No, they were highlighting Rudy. I mean, they were definitely talking about how well he played tonight and how much of an impact. I mean, you said it, like they went on the 17-4 run at the end of last year, and a lot of that was Rudy. A lot of it was Rudy dominating bad teams and just putting up monster numbers. Like if you look at the Rudy numbers at the end of the last 20 games or so of the year, they are amazing for Rudy Gobert. And he and I mentioned that Ant bails us out some nights, and Rudy had just as much bailing us out as well. I mean, 10 offensive rebounds, 3 blocks, and just in the factor out there. And honestly, I think when Rudy's bringing it defensively, I almost feels like Nas steps it up as well. Like I feel like Nas goes to another level defensively when he sees Rudy going for it, which Rudy goes for it every night, but varying success. And I just think he sparks something in the Wolves' interior defense where it's just like you can't come to the paint. And another thing I love is we mention all the time of trying to force it to Rudy. I love it when he's going when they don't need to force it to Rudy. Like when they don't like have to throw like 3 straight alley-oops to him and hope that he catches it or it doesn't get blocked. If you could just get it to Rudy in the flow of the offense, I love that so much more than trying to, let's get Rudy 4 lobs in the first quarter. Like just let it come with the flow, and that goes to ball movement as well. But yeah, Rudy was awesome tonight. He showed how important he is to this team and how, he gets a raw deal a lot of time, particularly back with the TNT guys, but they gave him his props tonight.
Yeah, everything you said, I agree with. I mean, he gets a raw deal sometimes, but like on nights like tonight, like he just shows you why he's so important to this team. And it is weird. It's almost like, the Wolves have to like retrain themselves to like trust Rudy, and then he'll make one bad play and they're just kind of like, oh God, we can't go back to Rudy. And then like the next game, they have to kind of like reprogram themselves, and then Rudy will make like one play and it's like, oh my God, we can't go back to Rudy. And it's like this over and over thing where, he doesn't really make that many bad plays. It's just they're a very
they're loud.
shocking.
Yeah, they're loud.
They are.
Like even like what he went like 9 for 10 tonight, and the one that he missed was that one layup where it was like a weird play with PJ Washington I can't remember who it was, and then he just misses
Gafford, and he just throws it in the air, and then it bounces twice, and like, it's just, and he had like a sensational offensive game, so it really is just kind of like, guys, he does play really well most of the time, but it's just interesting. I do want to close with a question that Cole asks about Io. Io just kind of looked nervous today, indecisive, passive, scared to take a Finch trying to mold him into Mike. I really feel like Io needs to be himself. I think Io is a guy that when offense is going right, he looks awesome, and when offense is not going well for him, he looks bad. I think he's a vibes guy on offense. Like defense, he's going to bring it. I think the amount of people out from Chicago that told me like this dude's always locked in on defense, I trust them. But like tonight, he shoots 2 for 9 offensively, and it just looked, a lot of his threes just looked like gross and really off. And I think, kind of like how Jaden was a couple of years ago, where if Jaden missed his first 3, he almost just, it's just kind of like throw the game out type of vibe. I think Io is that type of player, because like I was looking up his advanced stats while we were talking here, and like, he had a 21% usage in Chicago. He has a 17 here. Like they're kind of asking him to do the same stuff he's doing in Chicago, shoot corner threes, shoot above the break threes. If you get the ball and you can get by somebody, like do it, which is eerily similar to what they were like trusting Mike to do at this point. Shoot corner threes, shoot above the break threes. If you get to go by it. But so like, I think it looks really similar to like what they were asking Mike to do, because Io is just a very similar player offensively to Mike. I think, maybe people got a little over their skis saying that he was going to be the point guard of the future for this team, because like he's not really a point guard. But Gabe, what are your kind of thoughts on Io tonight and just where he's fitting in so far with the roster?
Yeah, I mean, he was bound to have a bad game, right? Like he's been really great the 2 or 3 games before, so it's bound to happen. Yeah, like you said, he did look a little tentative tonight. What wasn't going for him? I do. Obviously, you were in the arena, so you didn't hear the broadcast, but they do like to bring up, oh, he's filling what Nickeil Alexander-Walker is missing with us, and I know we talked about that as well. But let's just let Io be Io. Like it's a different team. It's a different year. Like we don't need him to be exactly Nickeil Alexander-Walker, else we would have spent all the money on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. At the end of the day, let's remember this: if Rob and Leonard were still here, they wouldn't be playing. So whatever Io is giving us is a plus, if nothing else. But yeah, he had a bad game, couldn't hit his shots. I do think he got exploited a little bit defensively. I'm not saying he wasn't bringing it defensively, but Middleton a couple times did shoot over the top. And I think he also got caught on Klay Thompson as well, which I don't know about you. When Klay Thompson started hitting, I went back to that. Do you remember like that quarter or that game he had where he only took like 2 dribbles and had like 60 points? Like I was like,
it started to feel like that, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It did. But yeah, I think Io will bounce back. I still he missed that floater at the end of the first half. I think that goes in 60 to 70% of the time. He missed another layup. I think these layups are going to fall. That's my favorite part of Io's game, is his ability to get to the basket, because I think that's something that like Jalen Clark, who we didn't see at all tonight, and Dante DiVincenzo lack. So I think that's what he can bring. And honestly, he's been shooting 45% from the 3-point line this year. Historically, it looks like that's not going to last. So yeah, he might struggle from three every so often, and it'll be interesting to see how many attempts he gets. But I'm not worried about Io. One bad game. I mean, I've been through these Wolves. I mean, Julius probably had a worse game for him, and I still believe in Julius Randle. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be just fine. I think he's going to be fine.
John Krasinski just over on Twitter, just to loop it back to Ant. First, Io, I agree. He's going to be fine. Like it's a bad game. I think he's a vibes guy. Like it's going to be fine. I don't think they're asking him to do something out of his comfort zone. Agree with you. Just to kind of close the pod, I posted on Twitter Ant's response to the whole Jalen Johnson thing. John Krasinski just chimes in and says, Ant clearly had no idea this was a thing on NBA Twitter, which that is the most true thing that could be said, because I guarantee you he has no clue what is going on or what I honestly think he was probably like, why are you asking about what I said to Jalen? But yeah, just
sorry. If I could build an NBA star, that is what I would want on my team. Someone who's like, oh, that's happening. Oh, okay, whatever. Like I don't want these guys to be robots, right? But I mean, like, just someone who's locked in, and his main worry of the day is, I'm going to perfect my mid-range jumper. Like I'd rather him do that than, like get on beefs on Twitter, like, or have burner accounts like that. It's perfect. Like that's exactly what I want out of my superstar.
It's so funny because Ant's kind of his basketball idol is Kevin Durant, right? And I think Ant has a lot of similarities with Kevin Durant. Like they both literally hoop and play video games. Like that is kind of like that's kind of like what he does. Like the difference where that stops is that Ant does not care about social media or what fans are saying or what people are saying. Like the dude is just kind of in his own world, which, to your point, like that is exactly what you want as a fan. Like I want a guy that just plays Call of Duty and then brings it on the court and works on his mid-range. Well, that's what we got here. Gabe, I do want to give you the space though. Anything you want to promote? Where can people find your lovely podcast? And the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, you can find me on X at Running with the Timber. Just type in Running with the Timberwolves, you'll find it. Also on YouTube as well. We're on Spotify, Apple. We do podcasts 2 or 3 times a week. We post the full podcast, and then I make little videos of just like clip highlights and shorts and stuff like that. Also, I do short form contests at Running with the Timberwolves as well on YouTube as well, kind of like essay videos. But yeah, I just want to thank you for having me on. I've enjoyed having you on my show as well, and hopefully we can keep going on this. And honestly, all I want for the Wolves is, and I know a lot of people are looking like the 4 seed, the 5 seed. I don't really care of where we land. I just want to build that gap between 6 and 7. Like just keep build. The more games we can get between us and a play-in, I just want nothing to do with the play-in. That's where I'm at. So just keep building that bridge farther and farther.
Yeah, I'm kind of, and I know we talked about it on your pod. I'll just kind of close with this one. Thank you for coming on. I always appreciate the conversation too. Like, I don't know, man, if they get the 4 or 5 seed and get the Lakers in the first round, like I'd be cool with that. Or if they get Houston in the first round, like I'm kind of like, let's just get the 4 or 5 seed and get someone that we know we can, we know as fans that the Wolves can kind of come in and just take care of and get into the second round, versus if they're the 6th seed, like Denver, San Antonio, and Oklahoma City, that becomes real tough. But
don't get me wrong, I want that.
I
want them to be the 1 seed. Don't get me wrong. I am just a chronic worrier. Ever since they put in the play-in tournament, like, oh man, I don't want to have to play my way in. Man, I just make it. But yes, let's get to 3-4. Why not?
Exactly. All right, Gabe. Appreciate you coming on. For anyone who joined into this late, because I know Twitter has been weird with live streams. You can find the whole thing as soon as we hit end stream up on my Twitter or over on YouTube. If you don't want to listen or watch this tonight, I don't blame you. It's almost 11 o'clock. It's published as a podcast at 7 a.m. wherever you get your podcasts over at the Missing Wolves. Thank you again, Gabe, for joining. Thank you, everyone who tuned in to listen, and we will be back Sunday after the 76ers games with or without Rudy Gobert. So until then, I don't know. I guess the send off, go buy Gophers women's tickets. If you can't get to the Wolves games, let's pack that place. They could be hosting NCAA tournament games if they win out. So it's an exciting time for them. Got to support them. That's what I'll leave it with. Go support the Lady Gophers.